Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaadhyayinim Ambatvam Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. Oh, Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Partha. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the reading from the 18th adhyay of Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, and Sri Krishna has just now started explaining to us what are the different types of duties that each of the 4 divisions of all the human beings on this earth they get into. Like there are 4 divisions of the human beings: the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, the Shudras. And Sri Krishna says all of these categories, all the 4 categories, the people falling in these 4 categories, they are allocated the duties which are conducive to that particular category. And now Sri Krishna is telling us, having introduced us to this concept of the duties of Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, and which are allocated, which come to them as a part of their very basic nature, the svabhāva, which again is controlled by the 3 gunas of the Prakriti, the sattva, rajas, tamas. So based on their inherent nature, the beings, the human beings, they start getting the duties for which they have to perform. Now, Sri Krishna has, in our previous reading of the 42nd Shloka, he explained to us the duties that come to a typical Brahmin nature. A typical Brahmin, what duties are get allocated to that person, to that person who is following the traits of the Brahmin, of a Brahmin. Now, Brahmin is the opportunity for getting spiritually evolved to the highest level. It is the stage of actually getting liberation, for that matter, not just struggle, but liberation. And the type of duties that they fall under the segment of, under the category, under the class, or under the division of Brahmins, all those duties, they take a person, they take the spiritual aspirant way ahead than any other beings. And this is these are the duties that Sri Krishna has listed as the Brahma Karma, as the duties of the Brahmins, which in turn has come because of their inherent nature, svabhāva-jam. Now, what are the duties? Shamo damaha tapaha shaucham kshantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhāva-jam. Now, shama is serenity, the calmness, that blissful attitude. Anything which has to do with serenity, with calmness, with that blissful outcome, that duty, that is the shama. Then dhamma. The dhamma is all the duties, all the tasks that are done so as to gain the self-mastery, so as to gain the self-restraint, so as to gain the self-control. Control over what? Control over that union of the senses and the sense objects. Sri Krishna has said that is the major culprit which actually drowns the people. That union has to be brought under control, and that dhamma, that self-restraint, that self-mastery, that self-control, control over senses. Whosoever is engaged in controlling the senses, whosoever is performing the tasks of creating that situation of total self-control, total self-mastery, who gets into that position of self-mastery, that is of a Brahminical nature. Then tapaha, austerities, performing austerities, meditative practices, contemplation on the Lord, that follows the Brahminical duty, the tapa, the performing the austerities. Śauryaṁ, maintaining the purity. Purity of what? Purity of not just external purity, internal purity. Purity of thought, word and deed. Bringing in purity in all the three elements of our working. Our thought, our action and our deed as such. The thought, word and deed. Pure to the core for that matter. Absolutely, bringing in that level of highest level of purity, like the clean cloth, not a speck of dirt on that cloth. That duty is also of the Brahminical nature. And then the arjavam. Arjavam is being upright. Whatever I have decided, I am going to do it. I am not going to deviate from my path. If I have to tell something, I will tell it up front. I won't keep anything hiding in my heart and behaving in a contrary manner. Remaining upright under all situations, under all circumstances, that again is the Brahminical duty. And then jnanam vijnanam astikyam, gaining knowledge. And not only just gaining knowledge, the realization, the ultimate realization, that answer to the question, who am I, from where have I come, and where do I go? Answer to all these questions, that is what comes under the self-realization, and that is the vijnanam. That happens because on the basis of the knowledge that we gain, the theoretical knowledge, the practical knowledge, the spiritual knowledge that we get is utilized for getting that ultimate realization, vijnanam. And then finally, that also is a Brahminical duty. And finally, it is the astikyam, utter faith, faith in the hereafter, faith in the Lord, faith in the eternity, faith in the Satchidananda, that is where I have descended from. That is where I go back, that strong faith, that strong shraddha, that astikata, Sri Krishna says. Now all these seven elements, all these seven duties, Sri Krishna says, they are Brahma Karma svabhāva-jam. By inherent nature, these form the duties of the Brahmana. Then now Sri Krishna is telling us about the duties of the Kshatriya dharma. Now, a typical Kshatriya dharma is a protector of the people, protector of the country, protector of the humanity as such. That is the Kshatriya dharma. Now, what duties they fall under the Kshatriya dharma? That Sri Krishna is explaining to us. śauryaṁ, tejo, dhṛtir, dākṣyaṁ, yuddhe apalāyanam, dānam, īśvara-bhāvaś, kṣātraṁ, karma, svabhāva-jam. These duties, they are born for the Kshatriyas. They are born of their own nature, of the own svabhāva of the Kshatriya. These duties, they get allocated to a person who is a true Kshatriya. Now, what are the duties? śauryaṁ, the heroism, the brevity, tejo, the vigor, that splendor. The Kshatriya for that matter, just that tejo, that splendor, it just shines from that personality of a true kshatriya. That is what was happening in case of Pandavas. Now, their cousins, the Kauravas, they were also kshatriyas, no doubt. But that teja was not, that element of splendor was not associated with any of them. Because although by birth they were kshatriyas, they never behaved like a true kshatriya, because they never got fit into any of these duties that are allocated to a kshatriya as part of their basic nature. The śauryaṁ, the heroism, the tejaha, the splendor, dhṛtihi, firmness of the mind. Now, firmness of the mind is a grand quality of a kshatriya. Once a kshatriya decides, I am going to do it this way, it becomes impossible for that kshatriya to deviate from that path. That is the firmness that the kshatriyas, they exhibit in performing their duties. So dhṛtihi. Then dākṣyaṁ. Dākṣyaṁ is dexterity, the resourcefulness, how quickly they adjust to the situations. Dākṣyaṁ and yuddhe apalāyanam. Now, this is specifically addressed to Arjuna, who wants to run away from waging this war. Yuddhe apalāyanam. And not running away from the war when the situation comes, not running away from the battle when a kshatriya has to wage that battle, has to fight that battle, has to fight that war, has to get involved in that war. Don't run away. The true kshatriya will never run away, and that is what Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, as this also is the duty of the kshatriya. Not running away from the war, not running away from the battle, not running away from the crisis. That is what the true kshatriya behaves like. And then dānam. He's extremely generous. The true kshatriya will give away his entire thing for the benefit of mankind, for the benefit of humanity. Dānam. They know how to give. The true kshatriyas, they know how to give up everything for the benefit of this entire human race. Dānam and īśvara-bhāvaś. īśvara-bhāva, lordliness. People, they consider a true kshatriya as next to God. They respect, they revere. The reverence the kshatriya receives from people is like God, because that is how they protect all the beings. That is their true kshatra dharma, that is their true kshatriya nature, kshatriya duty of protecting all the people around. So these are the typical duties that Sri Krishna has listed for being a true kshatriya, and it comes of their own nature. It is a svabhāva-jam, Sri Krishna says. They don't have to acquire anything. No one has to tell them, you do this, you do this, you do this. It comes spontaneously from within. And that is how the true kshatriyas, they display their greatness next to the Brahmins. Now, this also is a path which, if meticulously followed, these duties of shaurya, teja, dhṛti, dākṣya, yuddhe apalāyanam, and then dānam, īśvara-bhāvaś. Be a god to all. Let everyone revere you. Let everyone pay respect to you like they are paying respect to God. Not out of fear, not out of frustration, not out of compulsion that they pay respect to you, but from within that respect comes. Like the respect, the reverence comes for the God from within. So that is what īśvara-bhāvaś, that is the greatness of these kshatriyas. And this also is a way to attain liberation if all the duties are performed as per the requirements laid down by Sri Krishna. Don't get attached. Don't seek the fruit of the action. Just perform your duty meticulously, perform your duty steadfastly, perform your duty with all the honesty and dedication. So these are the duties which have been laid down for the Kshatra Dharma. In the scale of spiritual evolution, the Kshatriya comes next to Brahmana. Now, the Kshatra category is next to Brahmins as far as the spiritual evolution is concerned. Now, if all these duties are dexterously followed, meticulously followed, through the true spirit of being a Kshatriya, that also is a way of liberation. While the topmost man is the embodiment of divinity, the second best, the Kshatriya, is embodiment of dharma. This is how one should behave. This is what one should behave uprightly. This is how one should behave honestly. This is how one should behave in a righteous manner. That dharma. While the Brahma Rishi gives all attention to the godliness in man, the Raja Rishi, the Kshatriya, pays all attention to manliness in man. And this manliness, the true son of the God, the true child of mother, has to perform the duties as laid down in the scriptures. It is only after being an ideal man that one becomes a God man. First, prove yourself you are a good human being. If you are a good human being, if you behave as with that īśvara-bhāvaś, you are taken up on the higher pedestal of the Ishvara himself. It is only after being an ideal man that one becomes, one gains the stature of being a god. The ideal man is found in the Kshatriya, who is devoted to putting the earthly life of man in perfect order, with all righteousness, with all humility, with all tenacity. The Kshatriya keeps on working towards the benefit of the mankind and protecting the humanity at large. The Kshatriya has dedicated his body for the good of the world. That is what a true Kshatriya means. All those Jawans who are guarding our borders, they are the true Kshatriyas for that matter. Whichever caste they may be born in. They might be born as Brahmins or Kshatriyas or Vaishyas or Shudras. But the moment a soldier takes up a position on the border, that becomes a true Kshatriya. The destruction of the body is no loss to him. And therefore, Kshatriya doesn't run away from the battle. Boldly, very courageously, the Kshatriya, true Kshatriya, will wage the war, the righteous war. But reconciliation with adharma is the worst loss that he sustains. He can never reconcile. He is so dākṣya, his level of commitment is so high that the Kshatriya will never ever, a true Kshatriya, will never ever support the cause of unrighteousness. While his body was being hurt to the core, his mind remained pinned to the ideal. That is the Bhishma's life. The true Kshatriya. He fought on behalf of the unrighteous people. But he had committed himself. He had committed himself to serve the throne of Hastinapur. And therefore, he had to side with all those evil Kauravas. But still in the end, when he was fallen, when he was on the bed of arrows, he never wept. He never, his body was hurt, but not his mind, not his true spirit. Because all said and done, Bhishma was a true Kshatriya. Although fighting for all those unrighteous Kauravas. All the spiritually evolving souls require to be processed in the Kshatriya mold before they can aspire to the Brahmana mold. So having it is like a qualifying examination to get into the state of doing those Brahmanical duties. Once you perform Kshatriya duties to the core with all your dedication and honesty, you automatically uplift yourself. The next birth, you keep on getting those brahminical duties in under your fold. And once a person starts getting the brahminical duties under his or her fold, it is the way to liberation as such. So this is what Sri Krishna has beautifully explained to us. What are the duties that the kshatra dharma it has to perform? What are the duties that are born out of of the kshatra dharma as a basic nature? So all these heroic aspects of protecting the people, of maintaining the righteousness, these happen to be the duties of the Kshatriyas as explained by Sri Krishna in the 43rd shloka. And these are to be performed not by running away from doing these duties, but performing these duties to the core, not running away from the battle, what Arjuna is trying to do. So Krishna is now bringing back Arjuna's morale, bringing back Arjuna's resolve to fight, not the resolve to run away from the battlefield. So because that itself is part of the Kshatra Dharma. So that was Sri Krishna's explanation to us, teaching to us that after the Brahminical duties, what are the Kshatra Dharma duties? So let us contemplate on these and see where we fit into. Our next reading will be the duties for Vaishya and the Shudra. Till then, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami.